Learn to turn your hand-drawn sketches into photorealistic renders like this one. If you work in a creative field, then chances are you frequently create rough sketches of your ideas and concepts. You then spend countless hours coloring them in an image editor or creating elaborate 3D models. And even if you're pretty advanced, you're still spending a lot of money on tools that were designed specifically for that use case. But what if you didn't need all that? What if you could get pretty close with the Midjourney subscription that you already have? Well, let me show you how to do that. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Just add black and white sketch into your prompt, and there you go. And sure, if I enter a prompt for an interior design and tell Midjourney that I'd like to create a black and white sketch, then it will do just that. And if I then adjust the prompt to create a lifelike photo, and I even set the exact same seed, it will create a beautiful interior. But here's the problem. Most of these images don't actually have the same composition as my sketches. You could argue that the bottom left one comes pretty close, but it's still different. If I'm an architect or interior designer and I've created a hand-drawn sketch, then I want to bring that specific idea to life and not necessarily some derivative of it. For some of you, that might be good enough, but for others, it just doesn't cut it. So let me show you one way of approaching this problem. Let's say this was your sketch. It shows the living room of a modern apartment or condo somewhere in the mountains, and you really want to bring this idea to life, so you scan it. Once scanned, you make sure to cut off the rough and smudged edges of the sketch. This is really important for what we're about to do because we need the drawing and, most of all, the edges to be as clear as possible. Now, first of all, let me clarify that you can't really import an image into Midjourney. That's just not how Midjourney works, and it generally tends to perform best with images that have originated from within Midjourney's model itself. So the best we can do is use an external image reference to create something that at least looks similar to our original. Now, this might seem like an annoying limitation, and it is, but we need to work with what we have. So we start off by crafting a prompt that looks like this. First, I insert our image reference, which is our cropped sketch. I then craft a text prompt that accurately describes the contents of that sketch. Interior design sketch, black and white sketch of luxuriously modern living room in the Swiss Alps. You'll also notice that I added clear outline as well as the negative prompt no smudge. Once again, this is important because we want to avoid blurred edges on our images. Blurred edges will usually result in a strange haze effect in the later steps of this process, and this is the only way to avoid it. All right, so let's have a look at the set of images that we got from this. You'll notice that most of these images don't have the right camera angle. At this point, I usually recommend re-rolling your prompt several times until you get closer to the composition of your original sketch. However, if you pay close attention, you'll notice that some of them are actually much closer than you think. So for some reason, Midjourney has this weird tendency to flip the images that are closest to our original. I have absolutely no idea why, but it's something that I've observed in many of my experiments. So that's why I'm going to pick one that doesn't look similar at first glance, but if you flip it, it's actually quite close. All right, so now that we've decided on a sketch to work with, it's time to start bringing it to life. For this next step, make sure that you've activated remix mode. You can do this either via the settings panel or by simply entering the remix command. What this does is that it changes the behavior of the V-roll buttons. If I go to the image that we've selected and click on the V3 button, it will open up the remix prompt window. This allows me to make changes to the original prompt. So here's what we're going to do. Here's the original prompt. We start off by removing the image reference. Next, we replace the first instance of sketch with photography. Then we replace the second instance of sketch with photo. We remove the references to clear outline and no smudge, and instead we insert the negative prompt no sketch. Finally, we hit the submit button and wait for Midjourney to process the job. Now, if I take a look at the set of images this produces, you'll notice that it still looks too much like a sketch and lacks color. This might be good enough for some use cases, but we're looking for a real photo here. So what do we do? That's right, we simply repeat the same process several times over, however with a very important detail. For this set of images, we pick the one that we like the best and upscale it. From these, I'm going to pick the bottom right one. So I click the U4 button and then copy its image link. I then hit the V4 button on the very same set, and when the remix prompt pops up, I reinsert the URL at the front of the remix prompt and hit submit. This produces a new set of images that already looks a little bit better. So I basically repeat the process over and over again until I get to a point where I'm happy with the result. Let me quickly recap this for you. You start off by upscaling the best image. You then copy its image link. You then hit the V-roll button on the very same image. You replace the URL with the image link. You hit submit, and then you repeat steps 1 through 5 as long as you need to. Now, there's one thing that you can do to help speed up this process. By adding details such as the lighting conditions or details about the flooring, you help breathe more color into each iteration. Let me quickly show you the evolution of my interior design. Here's my original sketch. Now here's my first remix. Then the second iteration. The third iteration. The fourth iteration, and the fifth iteration. So I think it's fair to say that this is quite the transformation from what our original sketch looked like. But you also may have noticed that furniture is more or less always the same now. That's because we've been inserting our image reference every single time. So let's change that. Once we've filled the image with enough color, it's time to start creating new variations. You do this by remixing your favorite image and removing the image reference. So in this example, I'll pick the bottom right image of our set and remove the URL from the remix prompt. And you'll immediately notice that Midjourney has started introducing new variations into the interior design. The chairs look different, and so does the carpet. If I do this one more time with the bottom left image, I can also add more detail to the remix prompt. So here you can see that I've asked it to add green pillows and also emphasize the trees a little bit more. This gives our interior design a very different but also very natural look. The only thing that might still bother some of you is the fact that the images look quite blurry. Unfortunately, this is very common whenever you use remix mode to transform a sketch into a photo. There isn't really a way to fix this within Midjourney itself, so we'll have to use external tools for this. So for this next step, I've decided to give the AI image sharpener of Topaz Labs a try. Just to be clear, I am in no way affiliated with Topaz Labs. I just picked the very first AI image sharpener that did a decent job, and I'm sure there are many other solutions out there, so please just give them all a try. But for the purposes of this video, I used that one. Here's what my original image looked like. It was pretty damn blurry. Nothing you'd necessarily notice if this was just printed in a brochure somewhere. But if you look at it from up close, it's pretty obvious and doesn't look that great. So here's what the sharpened version looks like. This is so much better than before, even with the annoying watermark that you see right in the middle of the image. Okay, so by now you may have actually forgotten what our original sketch looked like. In order for you to truly appreciate just how effective this process is, I actually need to show you every step in one flow. Oh, and just before I forget this, one more thing. My comprehensive course, Masters of Midjourney, is almost complete. So if you're interested in a holistic approach to learning the fundamentals as well as the advanced techniques in Midjourney, then make sure you check the links in the description. Anyway, you might remember that the original sketch was actually flipped the other way around. So that's why, for the purposes of this comparison, I've made sure that I flip all images in the same direction. And that way you can really see how they all compare to each other. All right, let's check them out. Here's the original sketch. Then Remix 1, Remix 2, Remix 3, Remix 4, Remix 5, Remix 6, Remix 7, where I introduced variations, and the sharpened image. Pretty crazy evolution, isn't it? So this is how you can use Midjourney's remix mode to transform your sketches into photorealistic renders. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to check out some of my other tutorials and playlists right here on this channel. And most importantly, keep on learning and take care.